The market in which we are in is heavily manipulated. We all know that. And when SEC goes against these institutions and goes hammers them and all, one by one happening in the crypto industry, we also have to keep in mind this happened and SEC did not do anything until the common man was robbed. Then they acted, right? So one side, it's complete manipulation, and on the other side of this, it's the real utility. It's the real value of many projects. So if you are here in the space and having a lot of concerns, doubts, looking at what the SEC is doing, look at assets with real utility. Look at assets with the fundamentals, which is increasing, not decreasing, at least staying stable. But for XRP, it's actually going up. The use case, the new amount of money coming in, the new wallets, adoption, everything is increasing. So on this time, when you look at what SEC is doing, there is a lot of concern because they deliberately are right now trying to put this behind a lot of us. Now, my doubt here is like, say, for example, if they are being paid by the taxpayers, why should it be released to the taxpayers? They are funding these agencies, right? If it's true that they serve the people, then that should be the case. So back to the matter. If you are in the market, crypto market right now is again mixed, volatile. It's showing you different signals. But when you actually go back into this market, this is Dow Jones, you get a clear pattern. This pattern happens to be showing you something bullish. And can that narrative be reassured or have? From the stock market, we are getting some signals. Now, we will have to look at what other market suggestions are and then look at what the dollar itself is showing you. But at the same time, keep in mind, we have concerns happening in this market where the SEC is running around chasing coins, all those stuff. Whether it's right or wrong, they're doing it. But at the same time, on the other end, they allowed FTX to rob all these people. And then right now, we see Wells Fargo, one of the biggest banks in the world, being fined for 1.7 billion. And they're still doing the business. For them, this is just the cost of doing business. Basically, because they are doing this every now and then. It's not only one bank. You look at the history, you understand that. But here for this technology, even though there is utility-based assets, even though there are a lot of assets which serve a purpose, they are now trying to slow it down. So understanding what the market situation is like before you make a decision that this is going to happen, and knowing what the market is doing right now so that you know what to anticipate is good. Now combine all of this with the macro, because the central bankers right now are trying to do things a little bit differently. And I'm like, okay, the previous governors were not like this. But, we all know this. Soft men come in and they create hard times. Hard, strong men come in and they build something good. So these weak men, they are really going to create hard times for sure. Then you visit the market and you're like, the market is not showing much. It's in red because we are observing things, negative energy coming into the market one by one. So all of this will impact the market for sure. Now, yes, we will break the technicals down. We'll look at why Doge is up 5%. Is it sustainable? And why is it not a lot of other coins going up? You have patterns, retest, and all the other stuff. So we will break those down so that you get a better understanding of the market. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Technically speaking, we haven't changed much. As you can see, this is a daily chart. We are still here and you still have the possibility of visiting this particular trend line. So that is going to be a key support for us at this point. Now, yes, you can go in, zoomed in, and look at what the market is suggesting you. Now, this is the short-term pattern resistance which you're observing in the market, where you are literally waiting for a breakout. Now, if this breaks to the downside, you're going to get higher momentum to the downside going towards that trend line we just talked about on the macro scale. If it breaks higher, now you're going to test this one, not this one. So you're going to actually get a retest here, which is not much of a big fluctuation. One of the reasons for that in the market is it's Christmas season. People are trading less. Risk is much lower than what it used to be back in 2017 because you don't actually have that market euphoria right now. You don't actually see that euphoric action happening in the market. So one of the biggest stuff you have to observe here is that, say, Doge is slowly bouncing. Fine. Now, you need to understand what a real trend look like and what a fake look like. It can actually go up, come back all the way down, right? So here, if you are looking at this, there is a possibility. This is printing a lower high, but it did not actually put in a lower low. So that gives you a little bit of hope like, okay, sellers are not able to push the price much lower, right? So you kind of get that narrative. So make sure whenever you are entering an asset or jumping in and out, you know what is happening in that market, whether buyers or sellers who's controlling that market at that moment. It is really important to know. Now, on the fundamental side of this, look at this. Swift is actually talking about this. Now, this is like last month. CBDC's interoperability. They did these experiments. They learned a lot of different stuff. And they do understand CBDCs are gaining strong momentum. So the existing Swift network and how it actually works is going to have a hard time if they do not adopt the technology, because CBDCs are on distributed ledger technology. It's based on the blockchain concept. So automatically, if you don't have an infrastructure ready to move these money without friction, because previously Swift was a messaging platform helping the banks to make money or move money by cutting throats of the common people, right? 8 to 10% in fee. Now, with this technology that's going out, they have a huge competition in the market. So they will slow down that by moving into a CBDC, because if it's a wholesale CBDC, maybe the Reserve Bank is not going to give it directly towards smaller institutions. They may directly go using banks, the correspondent banking chain itself. But what would be the interlinking, the interoperability solution, which is based on a DLT? That is where, when we looked at this, we were really happy, right? Cape Gemini, how that works, we kind of have an idea. BIS multi-CBDC model, what they talked about, we went through that. Now, one of the biggest thing which we all have to keep in mind is when the fundamental is increasing like this entire tweet is 100% valid. So hit that retweet. You see this, we need more pain before we make bottom. A lot of people actually say this. Agree. I'm listening to this too. And at the same time, he's actually asking 3 of the big exchanges actually went down. 2, venture capital got liquidated. This is actually huge. Now, 2 top 10 coins with 60 billion went to zero. That is actually super weird to see such a big project going down, like Terra Luna, Celsius, FTX. Now, Celsius is slowly climbing back up. Even though it dropped, it is trying to go back up, like Voyager and others. But we saw FTT dropping. We saw Luna dropping, UST, all this happening in the market, along with Bitcoin dropping 80% and a lot of altcoins dropping 90 to 99%. What else do you really need to think like, okay, now it's the time for the next wave to start? Because if you still have this thought process, now try looking at different individuals, what they say, and then go back into the market and look at what you see. Do you really see what they suggest, or do you see entirely different thing? If you look at the Dow Jones and then compare it with the S&P 500, there is a big difference. Now, why is that? Right? This is like the top 500 companies. This is much smaller, the top companies. So for me, I would actually say like, okay, if that's the case, you're actually going to see a huge change in the wealth gap. It's going to actually increase massively, right? And during that time, when this go up, people will usually come back in the market and ask like, okay, the stock market is going up, but the economy is going down the drains. Why is that? There is no relation between the economy and the market. We have actually seen that in 2021. The market was going up, the economy was going down. So that can still come back here in this market. Now, for our XRP, millions are being moved from exchange to exchange, and you actually see like, okay, they are working to build smart contracts on that platform. Now, once they do that, these kind of deals become more easier using that platform. Right now, it's like XRP users can actually purchase this. Now, it depends on who is selling and how that goes. But the real thing here is that in this country, you have regulatory clarity to do that with this asset. And that is where the quote from Brad, they really don't care about the SEC in other countries because, basically, if they say it's security for them, not for these guys in other jurisdictions. So if you still doubt, okay, SEC is doing this, look at their market. If the market is much bigger than US, now you know it's not going to get hit hard because Brad has been operating in a way that they already think like they lost it. So Ripple, the company, is working like that. Then comes XRP. We, the XRP holder, don't care about the SEC and what they think, basically. Why? Because we have done our time through research. We have taken all the efforts possible to learn about this asset. We have taken time to look what it does. Real life use case for me, practically checked what a bank does when I'm transferring money and what a fintech who's partnered with Ripple does when I transfer money, and what's my cost, how much I receive, what time it takes. I've done all this, and then basic. You try moving a Bitcoin to another exchange or an Ether to another exchange, look at the time consumed and the cost for that. Now come back and do the same for XRP, right? So utility, value of that asset is there. There is no doubt in that one. Yes, the cloud of SEC for US as a market is there, which is slowing us heavily down. But again, if you are a long-term value investor in crypto, the fundamental based one, now, yes, you do look at the technicals to see what is really happening, because fundamental give you the idea of whether that's a good asset or not. Technicals kind of give you an idea, okay, this happened, so most likely this is going to happen. So if you're saying this is a good buy, I want to enter this index, but I think the price is coming here. Now, if it does not break to the downside, you miss it, right? So even though you know the fundamentals, you should also know technicals so that you know when to buy or when not to buy. So there are assets which are breaking through all the supports, which you really don't want to enter. Whereas then you actually come back to the market like, okay, there is a lot of negative news right now going against Ether. And I'm like, okay, fine. What does the market actually show me? Because first thing, if this breaks to the downside, yes, it goes down. If not, I'm waiting to see what the market does. Because taking a judgment of what is going to happen is going to be hard. But on short term, you can say, yes, it's going to bounce. It is going to come higher here, and then inside the pattern it is going to move sometime. Fine, but that does not actually change the long-term view. We have not moved outside of that. What the price is doing right now is it put in one low here, which is a higher low than this one. Let me zoom in so it's clear for you guys. This is the first one, this is the second one. Now it's trying to put in another low, which is a higher low compared to this one. So I'm like, okay, if that's the case, now I'm interested in knowing what shorter time frame structure shows me. Meaning when I include more noise into the market, what it shows me. This is a 3-day chart for the same asset, and it shows me like we had a momentum to the upside. Now we are consolidating like this, and that's pattern based. If you look at the support base structure, you're here. You came halfway through this range. You did not go down. And I'm like, okay, that's not super bullish, but it's not bearish. Fine. Now you remove that one and you want to go on a daily chart. So you are stepping in each time you go in. And you look at this, you're like, okay, the MACD is trying to cross to the upside. Price may come back higher. RSI is showing negative, right? It is not showing you a positive scenario here because it does show you like, okay, I was running up, but I was making a rising wedge, which broke to the downside, came back up to retest and got rejected. So this is how you actually look at an asset, in my humble opinion, because if you don't, then it's going to be a hard thing on the short-term market. Because when you zoom out, if you understand this and you're on a long term and you belong to that category where you say like, okay, this has been the range for a long period of time. You hit this level, you got rejected. You hit this level and you consolidated there. After which, when you broke that, you went up, and right now you're coming back down, and that's acting as a support. So for me, I would say, okay, a bounce from here with a higher high gives us major possibility that we are going to continue higher. But nothing is for sure right now. We know the fundamentals, we know technicals suggest that this is going to happen, but for that we need a perfect clarity watching this one breaking higher. If that happens, it is good. On short term, when you zoom in, you don't see all of these market noise. You only look at this time horizon. And for this, you want the price to bounce here and break through this 50-day moving average on a weekly. Great. Now, what does that mean on a daily? For XRP, when you zoom in, you literally want to see the price breaking above both the moving averages. And once it happens, now, okay, you can say like, okay, all these time when you were below that, it was really hard. Then it happens like the price goes test the moving average, break one and test the other, get rejected. We had that happening here. Then you go back up, break both of them, retest that and bounce, then retest and go up. Now this retest is not only the retest of that one. It's like you crossed to the upside once here. Now you came back down to retest that and reassured, okay, I'm crossing back up. So that eventually happened. So I'm like, okay, if you cross to the downside here, and now you're trying to cross back to the upside, on a daily chart, it does show you this. Now, if you zoom back out, you will see something similar. You cross to the upside, now you're coming back down. After this, you need to break back to the upside, and that's where your bull entry is confirmed. That would be the clear idea, in my opinion. So guys, if you're receiving value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if my sound is irritating, sorry for that, it's still the truth. So if you have another 5 to 10 minutes more, please do visit this channel of mine and take time to watch 1 or 2 videos. If you like that one, please do hit that subscribe button as well. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.